Our next card in the Learning the Tarot is the Knight of Wands. So like I mentioned in the Page of Wands, they're kind of separate. Like, all of the books tend to like describe these four cards, the Page, Knight, King, and Queen, all of those, as people. And I don't know why, but like whatever. So this is a little more matured than the Page. The Page is more like the inner child. I feel like the Knight is more of like your like inner teenager or like early 20s, depending on where you are in life in your journey. But like the excited, but like a little impatient side that we all have. And the reverse of that is like the chaos and miscommunications and just that side of all of your life as a teenager or in your early 20s. So we'll start with the upright position for this card. So this card, I guess because it has a horse, is all about movement and change. And so like every book, they always describe it from the Rider-Waite. And in the Learning the Tarot journey that we're on, I'm curious how other decks describe it when that isn't the case. Again, my current hyper focus of a deck is the Dragon Tarot that my husband got for Yule this last year. And like, I don't remember them having a horse. So I'm curious how other decks that don't use the like traditional imagery would describe this. Like, I know like the basic of the meaning would be universal, but like a lot of these cards, the way it's described in these books is so heavily based on whatever imagery is included. And like, that's cool, but also like, I don't know, it makes you question like other decks. Like, how do they describe it if like they don't have a horse because that's dragons? You know, like how would you go about proving that like it's all about movement, you know? And so it's just little stuff like that that like in this learning journey, I'm starting to question those things. Because like so much of it is like, but look at him, he's on his horse, he's doing his thing. And then if it's reversed, oh my god, he's falling off of his horse. And I'm like, sure, but what happens in like other decks? Like how? Makes me question things. So anyways, that said, because our knight is on a horse, this is all about movement and change and a journey. And I feel like because the wands have so far really been like so career focused, like it just in like just journeys, but I don't know, to me wands just feel like career stuff. And so for me, like when I look at this card, it's like the full journey of whatever career path you're going down or like whatever journey you're like trying to embark upon. Again, normally like as I look at the different suits so far, like each one kind of has a theme, and it seems like wands tend to be like career and journey and ideas and stuff like that, and like communication, which to me is career because that's what I do, but like that stuff just seems to all be for the wands. And so like, I don't know, I wonder how we'll interpret the other ones, to be honest. Like, are they all gonna be journeys, or like do the knights, even if they have a horse, have like a different meaning now? But anyways, so it's supposed to be about a journey and movement. And basically like good things are happening in your life. It's a positive card. And like I mentioned, this card, you're like impatient, but like excited impatient. Not, like it's not a bad thing. It's just when you're excited about something and like, it kind of gave me the like thing of like some of the people who have like ADHD, where you're like really excited about something and like you're uberly impatient to get to the thing, and you're like hyper focused on it and you're really excited and you're impatient to get there. And like that just kind of like bouncy, like energetic vibe was kind of what I was thinking of. And obviously that's not all ADHD people, but it tends to be quite common, especially as you're younger. And so like you're just excited about whatever journey is awaiting you. And I do feel like because of like the horse imagery and like a knight, like typically when we think of knights in like modern sense, like you think of a knight, he's going on a journey. He's usually on the hero's journey. And so like the idea of it just representing some type of a journey makes sense. So like I guess it would depend on where it would be in your thing if the journey has happened, and like your interpretation of how that journey went maybe. If this card is reversed, it's kind of the opposite. Everything is delayed. And in a lot of ways, this card and the page kind of felt the same. In like the reverse is like miscommunication, delays, like stuff isn't gonna happen the way you want it to. And basically with this one, whatever momentum for your journey that you're working towards is like stalled. It's like you're not going anywhere. You might, like, the way that I thought about this was like, if you're going on like a road trip, this is when you've like probably got your whole car packed, you got all your snacks and stuff ready, you got all of your stops like reserved and everything's ready to go. Then you start your car and then like there's a flat tire, or you need to get like oil because you have an oil leak and you need to fix that, or like the transmission goes out, like something where you're like and you can't do it and you have to wait and you have to fix things and you have to kind of fix your plans because things just aren't going to happen. But that's like the metaphor of what you're doing. Like, it kind of feels like you've done the prep work and you're ready and you've got all of this momentum and you're so excited and everything's going to happen. And then no. And it might be delayed, it could also be canceled, or just basically it might not be happening at this time. And the Idiot's Guide to the Tarot loves to point out that for these cards, I think they called them the court cards, but like these four, the Page, Knight, Queen, and King, those ones, they can change. So whatever this position is, you have the ability to flip it to the upright meaning. You have that power within to do that. And usually it's like you need to pull like other cards to kind of maybe help with that if you're not sure how. But like these cards, they love to point out that you can change how it's positioned. And then the last thing for this card is basically, if it's reversed, your life is going to be in chaos. Again, thinking about it, if it was like a road trip and like suddenly like the day you leave you have car trouble, or even like maybe a few days into your journey, like let's say you were going to travel across the entire United States. Because I would say across other countries, but having seen how tiny they are on like TikTok in comparison, and you're like, oh, so we're gonna go with us. So like, if you're traveling, let's say you're gonna go coast to coast. You are gonna go from like California over to like North Carolina or something. Like, you're gonna travel, and even then, like, what if you wanted to hit all 50 states? Like, that was your goal. Like, that's gonna be a long journey, and like, obviously you wouldn't be able to drive to a couple of them, but still. So like, if you're doing all of that, like, you're maybe like your first like day or two of driving, trying to get to the border of the next state, depending on how far you want to drive per day and whatever. But like, let's say you're doing that, and then this card is like, you're in the middle of like the desert of like California, and you're like, cool, chugging along, doing great. But it's like summertime, and then your car overheats and there's nobody, no traffic, because it's the middle of nowhere. I mean, granted, the drive between Utah and California, that's not as common anymore. There's actually quite a bit of traffic going back and forth. There used to be nobody, but for sake of argument here, you're driving in the middle of the desert, your car overheats, and you just have to sit there and wait. Because there's nothing you can do. You just have to wait for the engine to underheat and then realize that like maybe can't run your air conditioner while you're driving through the desert, as much as that sucks. Or that maybe we need to like plan to like start early in the morning so that you're hitting the desert at like before sunrise, or like early morning or late in the afternoon, evening, not peak heat of the day. Because that does happen, and it does overheat your car, and it's a magical time to have that happen, because like it has to underheat before you can do stuff, and then you can't run your air conditioner. So like that kind of feeling is what it feels like for when it's reversed. Versus if it's upright, you're just excited to go on this trip. You're gonna go to all of the states, you're gonna do all of this stuff, and it's gonna be a magical time. And like, you're excited to do this, and it's gonna be a wonderful, fun journey. And like, of course, there's going to be things that come up, but like, you're excited about it. And I feel like that's like a good metaphor for this card. Because again, I'm trying to relate to these cards in a way that works for me, and like a way that I can look at these cards and easily identify where in the journey that would be, how that would represent. Eventually, I would like to make my own like personal deck, probably not to sell, but like just to have my own imagery of what these cards mean for that reason. Because sometimes, like, I don't know, like looking at it, it's like, I don't know, like the imagery of him on a horse just feels kind of weird. Because like, we haven't had knights in like ever. It's been so many centuries since like really truly the Knight was around, you know? So anyways, those are my thoughts for the Knight of Wands. I would love to hear your thoughts and interpretations for this card in the comments down below. Huge thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names here on the screen. If you'd like to support me, get access to exclusive content. It is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post every single day. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.